Knight of the Seven Kingdoms was so close to sticking the landing, and it would have done so if I had stopped as soon as I saw the credit card. A Knight of the Nine Kingdoms. But it continued. We retreated to a scene of the Targaryen wagon leaving Ashford, and Maekar frantically asks where the hell Egg is. In the space of 15 seconds, they tipped everything upside down and made me have to reassess 3 novellas and if the show is onto something or not. Before we continue, if you'd like to support the channel, you can join our Patreon or use the Amazon affiliate links in the description below. We earn a small commission from qualifying purchases, and we've linked the comics and books featured in this video. You can also find us on Discord to continue the discussion. I am indeed talking about Maekar not giving Egg leave to accompany Sir Dunc and Mar. In the books, this whole situation goes down a little differently, down to the setting and amount of scenes it takes to get it done. Much like other scenes in the show, some of this may have been done to extend the runtime of the episode, but the damage this does to characterization and storytelling may have been a little bit too much for me. In the novella, Maekar does speak to Duncan about taking Egg as a squire. Instead of it taking place over 2 scenes, it's done in 1. Instead of Duncan visiting Maekar, it's the prince that visits Duncan. It flips the power dynamic. It's the prince that seeks Duncan, not the prince commanding the knight to attend to him. The conversation goes much the same way, though the show does flesh out the dialogue further to add more tension and drama with the will they or won't they.
But I think I'm done with princes.
There's a few lines that are excluded, but the essence is still captured. The scenes are almost a word-for-word copy of the novella's passages. Once the scene ends in both book and show, Duncan is setting up to leave, and Egg appears informing him that his father has commanded him to serve Duncan. Now this is where it starts to take a turn, and upon rewatching, a few things really become more apparent. Dunc is on the back foot in comparison to the novella. The novella has Egg ask Dunc where they are going, until he asks Egg if he's been over the Red Mountains. Would he like to have a look at Dawn? Egg grins and responds, I hear they have good puppet shows. On the surface, the show is very similar, but it's Egg educating Duncan and dictating where they go. Dunc is on the back foot. Dunc has no direction of where he wishes to go, and Egg decides where he wants to go and leaves Duncan in his wake.
Where are we going, sir?
Don't know.
It's minor, but then further plays into the follow-up sequence with Maekar where he asks, where the hell is Egg? Where this rubs me the absolute wrong way is that Egg comes off as an absolute asshole and needs more than a few clouts around the ear. I'd turn the lad into a fucking omelette. The amount of trouble that Egg has gotten Dunc into by lying by omission, which spiraled out of control into the loss of his uncle Baelor and Duncan fighting a ridiculously uphill battle, for Aegon to then lie once again and put Duncan in jeopardy. If Dunc was to find out, that would be an almost unforgivable break of trust.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Not only has Egg failed to learn a lesson, but he seemingly takes after his own father in that regard. Is Maekar's moment of acceptance that Duncan puts across, a great case to take Egg away onto the road, is maybe for the best. The novella has Maekar make the same argument that Aegon is a prince of the realm and not made for sleeping in ditches, in which Dunc responds that Daeron never slept in a ditch or Aerion only ate at the best meat. Maekar has a long silent moment of reflection where he struggles to rebuke Dunc's statement before he walks away. The very next sentence is Egg arriving. To strip this away from Maekar is a tragic turn of events, and it pisses me off way more than Egg absconding once more, but only by a bit. What makes this worse is that sandwiched between the two Dunc and Maekar scenes, we have this beautiful scene completely dialogue free between Maekar and Egg, where the latter approaches his incapacitated brother with a knife. This would surely be an eye-opener for Maekar to think, you know what? It's really important for Egg to get away from this, to have a shot of life that Aerion and Daeron lacked. To repeat their upbringing would do harm to Aegon. This should have been an eye-opening moment for Maekar. In fact, if this was positioned after Maekar stormed out of his final meeting with Duncan, it would have been perfectly reaffirming to the audience believing Egg is gone with Maekar's blessing. I'm actually going to edit that scene in that fashion in my own edit of the show. But the showrunner continues to tread this fine line with comedy, where I personally feel he undercuts dramatic moments with comedy, almost as if he's insecure with letting a dramatic beat play out in case it brings the mood down.
Good. Caravan departs after the roast.
Baylor of House Targaryen.
Now, I was pissed at this, but cooled down and looked back into the second and third novella to see if there's anything I missed. Could the writers be onto something? Is this information from George? Or is this the beginning of cracks that when we look back we notice those cracks turn into chasms as the writers get a little bit too big for their britches and start changing George's intentions? In The Sworn Sword, 1.5 years has passed since the Hedge Knight. Egg carries within his boot a signet ring, which is a symbol of his legitimacy as a Targaryen. A scenario happens in which he wants to use it and Duncan refuses to allow him to do so. Egg tries to respond by saying, "But my father," before Dunc cuts him off and asks Egg to repeat what Maekar had told Egg. "To keep my hair shaved or dyed and tell no man my true name," the boy said with obvious reluctance. Dunc follows it up with, "So far as most folk are concerned, Aegon Targaryen went back to Summerhall with his brother Daeron after the tourney at Ashford Meadow. Your father did not want it known that you were wandering the Seven Kingdoms with some hedge knight, so let's hear no more about your boot." With the knowledge of the show, you could assume that Egg told Duncan a story about the rules that Maekar gave him to follow, but it just doesn't feel true. If anything, Egg would surely lay out rules that gave him as much power as possible to wield. But then again, he was only 9 at that point. But he's made it this far. For me, I read it as wanting it to reaffirm Maekar's blessing as being part of the plan. If Egg had done a runner, surely Aemon would have known and may have mentioned something when Dunc and Egg visited him in Old Town before the events of the second book. When the dynamic duo crosses paths with a character who deals in information in book 3, it should surely have cropped up then too. Unless Maekar keeps it all hush-hush, that despite Egg running off, he knows where he is. It just feels very risky and for me personally, robs Maekar's character a moment of growth. These novellas are short, and so each moment means so much more. It feels more deliberate, sentences are crucial and not to be wasted, each one conveying important bits of information, but it just feels unlikely that Maekar would not have given his blessing. Anyway, I hope this doesn't blow up. Maybe George gave Ira the plot point. Who knows? I just hope the show doesn't deviate from the source material in a way that the House of the Dragon has. What did you guys think of the change? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.